which, just to avoid any potential confusion, because I know it will come up, this does not mean that there are two
This world shall know pain.
Yo, what's up? It's Ajit from TME TV, back at it again with another video. This is going to be another One Piece related video, and this is going to be explaining the One Piece world. Now, as you guys know, so far I've done the openings for One Piece, and you can probably click somewhere up here to watch that. It's split into 2 parts, so definitely check that out. Now, with One Piece having 1,000+ episodes, I'm really on the fence, and honestly I'm just scared to start it. It just seems too much, you know. That's why I think this video right here was probably going to ease me into it, or at least that's the idea. Now, I'm not even too sure if this is even that good of a video to watch, so who knows. This could either go really good or really bad. But thank you guys for, tuning in. Once again, this is going to be a video explaining the One Piece world, One Piece 101, and I guess this is made by Grand Line Review. So definitely check their channel out. I'll put a link to the original video down below somewhere over here. But again, this is not the original content. I'm just here to view it. So if you guys do want the full experience, I do suggest you watch it for yourself. Again, the link is somewhere down below. Now with that out of the way, let's just get right into the video.
You know, the red line has been a consistently confusing factor of the One Piece world for many fans.
And again, guys, I'm turning down the volume just for copyright reasons.
And I'm breaking down the literal world of One Piece. And this is far from an easy thing to delve into, because one of the greatest features of One Piece is its overwhelming mystery and the kind of endlessly expanding landscape before our eyes. However, after 2 decades of the series, we do have a very functioning idea of how this world is structured.
2 decades? That's
First and
20
foremost, I will
years?
begin with the fact that One Piece is indeed set on a planet that is overwhelmingly dominated by water, much more so than
I mean, where else would it be? On the moon?
from. If not, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, for the sake of ease of explanation, we are now going to invoke Flat Earth theory and smush this planet in order to begin
Flat
building.
Earth,
So
really?
the overwhelming majority of the series takes place within one particular stretch of water known as the Grand Line, which circumnavigates the globe. So I suppose just imagine
Like the
a planet
equator?
wearing a belt or something. The climate of these islands can vary rapidly, even for relatively neighboring islands. And these climates can be broadly classified into 4 types, being summer, autumn, winter, and spring. With some of your classic examples including Alabasta as a summer nation,
Oh, that
Drum
kind of looks like
Island
the
as a
Taj
winter
Mahal.
wonderland, and Dressrosa as your spring paradise. However, autumn islands tend to be exceedingly rare in this series, so much so that we haven't actually labeled anything as an official autumn island as of yet, although it is fairly widely speculated that Wano would be an autumn island, given that its heartland is permanently draped in falling sakura leaves. Wano does bring up the first of many tricky exceptions to the climate classification though, because it happens to be an island that boasts multiple extreme climates, and if you were to take one giant step out of the capital and venture into, say, Ringo, then you would find yourself in the depths of a winter island. And then there are also places like
Yeah, so like One Piece is really massive. It's probably one of the largest like worlds out of all the anime, I would say, right? Let me know in the comments below.
Raijin Island, which is being perpetually struck by lightning. So there is no really solid classification system at play in this world, and each island will still present its own unique challenges, viciously sandwiched on both sides by 2 thinner
the
stretches
calm
of
belt?
water
Okay.
known as the calm belts. And obviously these lengths of water also circumnavigate the globe, but as opposed to the Grand Line, the weather in this section is, as the name would imply, perfectly calm. Beyond calm, actually. I'd say non-existent, really, because somehow in these sectors of the world there are no winds or sea currents, and everything is pretty perfectly still.
That's what I was just thinking. I'm like, if there's no wind or anything, you probably just stay there. You can't move or anything, right?
That's far from the most major difficulty of the Calm Belt though, because it is also the designated breeding area for sea kings, which are the absurdly massive creatures that can be found all over the planet. However, they are highly concentrated in the Calm Belt, meaning that should you sail into it, your chances of being destroyed or eaten by one are extraordinarily high. That is,
so the name is like like it's called the Calm Belt, but like, bro, it's not calm at all.
the first mate of the former pirate king, who is able to casually swim across the Calm Belt without any fear of sea kings whatsoever. Also, in more modern times, the
how's he able to do that? So did I just miss that? How's he able to do that?
Which involves lining the bottom of their vessels with sea stone, which I suppose apparently repels the sea kings as if they were Zubats in a rock tunnel. In actuality, those sea stone just masks the appearance of the ships and renders them, for all intents and purposes, invisible to the senses of sea kings. Now we have one more pretty big piece to place here, because while the world of One Piece is predominantly composed of islands, it it does have one crowning continent, which goes smack bang here, known as the Red Line. And it is a particularly long continent by modern standards,
okay.
and just as with the Grand Line and the Calm Belt, it also circumnavigates the globe, just along a different axis. And I suppose you could say that the Red Line functions as something of a gigantic wall, because it extends 10,000 meters below sea level right down to the seafloor, and while its exact height is still unknown, it's certainly tall enough to be considered impossible. Which isn't to say it's impossible to do so, because the German Kingdom, for example, have developed a technologically savvy way of climbing the Red Line.
Is that sort of like
ships.
snails?
We've also had at least one example of an individual who has painstakingly climbed up the Red Line, being Fisher Tiger. And he did
This guy
so
was
in
able
order
to
get
climb
the
up to
well-known
it?
settlement on this tall continent being the Holy Land of Marijois, which is
Oh,
where
people
the
live
locals
up there,
reside
okay.
and rule over the riff-raff masses from afar. But the existence of the Red Line also has the effect of creating 4 more distinct bodies of water in the world, which are known
wow. Okay,
north, south, east,
okay.
and west blue respectively. And these probably represent what we would consider average chunks of water that operate very much akin to our real world. There is nothing particularly special or volatile about them, except I suppose you may encounter a Sea King on the odd occasion, but otherwise these blues are all quite peaceful.
Sea King, is there like 4 of them for each corner,
The one
or
that we
just
are by
one
far
that
the
rules
most
all?
familiar with in the series being East Blue, which is where we commenced our journey with one Monkey D. Luffy in the Goa Kingdom.
Oh, okay, that's where we
It is
started,
also
huh?
the home of iconic
So do we hit all like 4, or is it not really part of the story? Like it's not necessary to hit all 4 corners.
Village, as well as Log Town where Goldie Roger was executed, and many, many more. As for the other blues, we know very little about them at this late stage, other than some scattered kingdoms and random fun facts about who was originally from where. Like for example, Nolan and the Louvneil Kingdom were located in North Blue, whilst Port Gastiace was born in South Blue, and O'Hara, Robin's home island, was located in West Blue, prior to it being completely and utterly destroyed, that is. So they certainly contain great influence to the world and the series at large. However, what tends to happen is that prominent figures migrate from these blues and make names for themselves within the Grand Line. That's problematic though, because with the map as it is now, there is no way to access the Grand Line or any of the other 4 blues actually. For example, if I was to migrate from East Blue, I would either be met with the Calm Belt or the Red Line on all fronts, making any form of progress impossible. Before we get to how to overcome
Oh, so yeah, so how do you can't really cross, right? You're sort of stuck in your little area there, no?
I stated that the Red Line also circumnavigates the globe, which is accurate and wonderful. However, it makes the map that we are viewing incredibly inaccurate. To account for the fact that the One Piece world is a globe, this is a bit trippy, but the flattened map ends up looking a little something like this. Which, just to avoid any potential confusion, because I know it will come up, this does not mean that there are 2 red lines. It is still one continent, and when scrunched up into a ball, this map will become a flawlessly connected globe.
Oh,
Great.
okay, I'm an idiot. Okay, that makes sense.
The Grand Line is not in fact a singular stretch of water, and due to the Red Line, it is separated into 2 distinct areas, one of which is referred to as Paradise, whilst the other is labeled as the New World. And the reasoning for these names is that, despite how incredibly deadly and in general, the first segment is absolutely...
Yo, map is blowing my mind. I feel like an idiot.
Hence it being known as Paradise by all those who have experienced the truly apocalyptic conditions of the New World. And the New World is also very notably the only area of this planet that is not currently under the direct rule of the world government. Instead, it acts as more or less a lawless territory, primarily under the command of the 4 emperors, who are known as the most influential pirates in this world. But back to how we actually...
Oh, his brother, I think, was the guy with the claws, no? On one side?
The concept of Reverse Mountain, which is a super tall point of the Red Line, in which all 4 blues meet, and from which they may enter the Grand Line through the various scattered paths.
Okay, so there is a way to
entering the
enter
mountain,
and go out.
but one choice, which is to be ejected into the Paradise section of the Grand Line. At which point we encounter another problem, because even if you make your way around to the end point of Paradise, you encounter the Red Line again, blocking your path into the New World. And unfortunately, getting into the New World is nowhere near as easy as Reverse Mountain, which actually wasn't very easy to begin with, but you basically have 2 options. You either need to somehow get over the Red Line, or you need to go under it, because there is a segment of passage available, a sort of tunnel through the continent, if you will, which will take...
Bro, why is this so confused? Like, why is there different ways? It's cool, though, if you think about it. It makes sense, but like, still.
Which is height and depth. Up until now, we've mostly been considering...
There's gotta be an easier way, but I guess politics, right? When it comes to like this world, that's how they make their money, the emperors.
Above this concept. Firstly, making our way down, once we reach 7,000 meters below sea level, we hit an area known as the underworld of the sea, which is a position so deep that no light from the surface can penetrate it. So it's very spooky, dark, and...
I mean, we have stuff like that in real life, right?
But then we can go even further down, and it at 10,000 meters, we hit the seafloor, which is actually known to possess quite an array of civilized life, including the aforementioned Fishman Island, and in an incredible natural phenomenon, light does indeed reach this area of the world via the roots of the sunlight tree Eve, which allows everyone and everything to prosper. But then we can also go in the opposite direction as well and make
I guess that's not real, but that's pretty cool.
Reach 7,000 meters above sea level, we hit the White Sea, which is heavily populated by island clouds, which are allegedly created by a particular element,
island clouds,
called pyrobloin, which is a fictional element ejected into the air by
okay, yeah. So this is like up in the air sky.
To create clouds of various levels of solidity. Some of them could be sturdy enough to walk on, for example, whilst others could mimic the properties of water and allow vessels to sail upon them. However, most of the more solid clouds are found once we reach the height of 10,000 meters, which is known as the White Sea, which is another layer of
the White Sea and the White Sea with that.
As well as half of Jaya Island, which was sent up there by the Knock-Up Stream. Which, speaking of, the Knock-Up Stream is thus far the only way that we have been shown capable of reaching the White Sea levels, which is an absurdly dangerous practice and not at all recommended, because apparently there are other much safer ways of traveling to this area, although none of
the main characters are going to use that method.
This recording. But with that, we have the very basics of the One Piece world, and I would like to emphasize that this is not an exhaustive examination. Every new arc in the series tends to present us with new and conflicting information.
Okay.
Of this realm.
So it's just building on it.
We do know there is still an incredible amount of remaining mysteries, the most prominent of which being where is the hidden island of Laugh Tale, the discovery of which theoretically leads someone to the One Piece and putting them on the path of becoming the next pirate king. And then there's also the entire realm of outer space, which I have decided not to touch on in this video, but rest assured, life definitely exists out there as well. So there is an awful lot left to unpack, but I hope that this has provided you with some sort of solid grounding.
Okay, that's well. Now I'm left with more questions than answers, if anything, after watching this. But no, like legit, I have like an idea now of like the North Blue, West Blue, and all that stuff. Everything takes place, at least I think in the East Blue area. Most of it does at least, and I get the way everything's mapped out. But like, yeah, this is another video that's really getting me intrigued. Like I actually want to know more. I wonder if there is any other like videos that sort of explain like the lore of One Piece before I actually like ever jump into it, because again, 1,000 episodes. Well, thank you guys again for making it this far in this video. I do really appreciate it, and since you guys are already here, you might as well hit that like, subscribe, and notification button, as I'll definitely be trying to do more One Piece videos as the days and weeks go on, and definitely keep a lookout for more Modern Family, New Girl, and Brooklyn Nine-Nine videos, as well as everyone's favorite, Parks and Recreation. And with that said, thank you guys again for making it this far, but till next time, peace.